It was a moment of enormous pride. Greek Prime Minister Kostas Simitis made the country's first euro withdrawal from an ATM inside the Bank of Greece, signalling the country's changeover from the drachma. A decade-long process of lowering budget deficits and double-digit inflation had enabled Greece to meet Eurozone criteria, and the trade-off was credibility in international markets. Greece could now borrow at 5% interest, down from 25%. But there was a problem. Governments overborrowed, and largely to buy votes.
It financed an increase of government consumption spending, hirings in the public sector, increases, spectacular in some cases, increases of salaries.
When the subprime mortgage crisis hit US banks in 2007, lenders began to look more closely at borrowers' balance sheets, especially in the European South.
Current account imbalances that had been built and the net foreign debt that had been built in the South became unsustainable during the crisis, when foreign investors and creditors realized that there was so much debt that had been built that it would be impossible to service. And that's how credit rates went very high, the spread went very high, and the government crashed.
Shut out of markets, Greece was forced to borrow from its Eurozone partners on condition that it cut public spending. That brought protesters out onto the streets. They called for Greece to default on its loans, which could have seen the euro come crashing down by encouraging enough traders to bet against the currency.
Instead, between 2010 and 2018, Greece performed the fastest and deepest spending cuts recorded in a developed economy, and also suffered the deepest post-war recession, losing a quarter of its GDP. Unemployment soared to 28%. All this happened through a political storm in which governments averaged 2 years in office. But this instability meant that eventually every major party signed on to austerity.
The reason was that even in the depths of the crisis, Greeks overwhelmingly backed Eurozone membership.
It was right to stay in the euro because we don't have much of a primary sector. We don't produce many things. We import a lot. If we don't have a strong currency to buy imports, we'll suffer what Turkey is suffering right now. Its currency has fallen against the euro and the US dollar, so everything it imports is expensive.
The Greek crisis created a new institution, the European Stability Mechanism, set up to lend to distressed Eurozone governments and protect the currency from speculation. And it planted an idea, realized during the pandemic crisis, of a common euro bond. Greeks hope the 750 billion euro Resilience and Recovery Fund will be the first step towards a more perfect fiscal union. Psaropoulos, Al Jazeera, Athens.